Imagine waking up to the news that the very tariffs which reshaped global trade, shook industries, and hit consumers' wallets have now been ruled illegal. Shocking, right? For years, Trump-era tariffs were defended as a tool to protect American jobs and industries. But now, courts are saying they never had a solid legal standing in the first place. And the million-dollar question is, does this mean you could actually get some of your money back? Let's break it all down. Back in 2018, the Trump administration introduced sweeping tariffs on imported goods, most notably steel, aluminum, and a wide range of products from China. The stated goal was simple: protect American manufacturers and reduce dependency on foreign markets. But here's the reality: these tariffs increased the cost of imported goods. American businesses that relied on foreign raw materials had to pay more. And in the end, consumers, ordinary people like you and me, ended up footing the bill with higher prices. In short, it wasn't just foreign exporters who felt the pinch. The effects rippled through the entire U.S. economy. Fast forward a few years, and legal challenges began piling up. Businesses argued that the tariffs were unconstitutional, that they were imposed without proper authorization from Congress, and that they caused irreparable harm to American companies. Recently, a court ruling declared these tariffs illegal. According to the judgment, the executive branch overstepped its authority in extending or maintaining these tariffs without sufficient legal backing. This ruling has opened up a Pandora's box of questions. Chief among them, what happens now? Here's the tricky part. Technically, if tariffs were unlawfully collected, businesses and potentially consumers might be entitled to refunds. But before you start daydreaming about a check in the mail, let's clear up how this could work. Businesses are first in line. Importers and companies who directly paid tariffs are the first ones eligible for refunds. They kept records, receipts, and legal filings that show exactly how much they paid. For everyday consumers, it's a little complicated. You paid higher prices at stores, but the government didn't collect those dollars directly from you. Instead, businesses pass down the costs. This makes it much harder to claim a direct refund. Some lawyers suggest that if enough consumers band together, class action lawsuits could push for partial compensation. However, this process could take years, if it ever succeeds. So in short, if you're an individual shopper, don't expect a refund tomorrow. But if you're a business that imported goods, there's a real chance money could come back your way. Now, let's think bigger. What does this ruling mean for the U.S. economy and global trade? For businesses, companies that struggled under these tariffs may finally see financial relief. Refunds could restore some of the losses they've carried for years. For consumers, prices might stabilize if future tariffs are rolled back or lifted. And for trade policy, the ruling sends a clear signal that trade wars launched without solid legal foundations can't hold up in court. Of course, this decision has sparked political fire. Supporters of Trump argue that the tariffs were necessary to protect American jobs and push back against unfair trade practices from countries like China. They believe this ruling undermines American sovereignty in trade policy. On the other side, critics argue that the tariffs did more harm than good, raising costs for American businesses, disrupting supply chains, and failing to deliver the promised manufacturing boom. So the debate continues. Were tariffs a bold defense of American industry or an expensive mistake? The government now faces several options. They can appeal the ruling to higher courts, potentially dragging this case out for years. They can negotiate settlements with businesses demanding refunds, or they can redesign trade policies to avoid repeating the same mistakes. Meanwhile, businesses are preparing their legal paperwork to claim refunds, while consumers are left wondering if they'll ever see relief. So, what's the bottom line? The Trump tariffs being ruled illegal is a monumental legal and political moment. It raises deep questions about the limits of presidential power, the fairness of trade wars, and the rights of businesses and consumers who bore the costs. Will you get a refund? If you're a business, maybe. If you're a consumer, probably not anytime soon. But what you will get is a front-row seat to a legal and political showdown that could reshape the future of U.S. trade policy. The bigger lesson here is clear. When policies are rushed, overreaching, or politically motivated without strong legal foundations, they can unravel years later, leaving confusion in their wake. So keep an eye on this story, because the next chapters will decide not just the fate of refunds, but the future of American trade itself.